Well, Libby, welcome to the programme. Thank you very much for joining us. It's a long way from Topor to Bangladesh. How did you get to go there in the first place?
Well, my sister in the Hawke's Bay sent me an advertisement from her Church Missionary Society newsletter. They were advertising for a nurse administrator to help Dr. Edric Baker in a rural area, poor rural area of Bangladesh, where cholera, rabies, diarrheal diseases, Kala-Azar disease were rife. And then she wrote on the margin, "I could come and visit you."
And then come home.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was go to an atlas and find out where Bangladesh was. I have to confess I didn't have much of a clue. And then I rang my other sister and said, "Oh, Joe sent me this advertisement for a job in Bangladesh." "Oh," she said, "I'm sick of hearing you're going to work with the Aborigines and you're going to do this and that and you don't do anything." So I thought, I'll show her. It's like a red rag to a bull. So I immediately rang, and to cut a long story short, 6 months later I arrived in Bangladesh. But it was obviously meant to be. It all just fell into place, and I have certainly no regrets whatsoever.
Because what Edric Baker does there, we've spoken to him on the programme in the past, but just a quick recap for anyone who missed that. What he does there is quite remarkable and unique, isn't it?
It is. He set up this primary health care project in this rural part of Bangladesh where people are extremely poor, and it's got various... It's grown over the years, obviously. He started with, I think, 2.5... It was just a little clinic with 2.5 staff, and now there's 85 on the staff at Kailakuri. And there's room for about up to 30 inpatients. There's a very busy outpatient clinic. There's a separate diabetes program, a TB program, and then the village health program, which is where I work.
Well, that was your baby, wasn't it? Not so
well, yes and no. When I got there in 1998, the first year I had to just concentrate on learning the language, and I just helped where I could. And then it was decided, Edric had set up the village program several years previously, but he'd got so busy that he wasn't sure how it was working and what was happening. And so he said to me, "You take over the village program and do what you can, and if possible try and make it stand alone so that if anything happens in the future, that part of the program can carry on, because it's fairly it's very cost effective and not expensive to run." So I said, "Well, I can but try," which I did. And much to my surprise, when I left 3 years later, it was running, the people were running it themselves, and have been not running it totally themselves, but very responsible for it. I knew they could do it, but my hardest job was convincing them that they could do it, because leadership and initiative are not really part of the Bengali culture, not that part anyway, not in that area. Yes.
So, but you're still going back. I mean, you were over there in December.
Yes.
So
I managed to stay. I stayed there for 4 years full time. Well, I came home each year for a wee bit of leave, but and then I managed to stay home 2 years, and I came back to New Zealand and worked again. Took up Plunket work again. And then I got a letter, and I thought, oh, I've got to go back and see these people. And I could get 3 weeks leave, so I went back for those 3 weeks, sort of on holiday, and found that the people that I was working closest with were actually hurting because there'd been political problems from above, and they were actually split in two, and so I said to them, I'm sorry I can't do much now, but I can come back next year knowing that I would be retiring, and I can come for 3 months. I can get a visa relatively easy for 3 months. So I went back and helped reunite them, and yes, I've been going back ever since.
You said a really interesting thing then, because you said I managed to stay away for 2 years.
Yes.
And I remember when we spoke to Edric, one of the things he said was that once the place has got its hooks into you, it's very hard to leave.
It is. It gets into your bloodstream. It's the people that take me back, and not necessarily those at Kailakuri. Obviously those are the ones that are deepest in my heart, but it was a letter from another project that I totally unrelated that I got involved in, and it was the letter from their leader who said the people are asking when their Boro Didi is coming back now. In Bangladesh that means big sister, and I didn't even know they called me that, and it just went straight to there, and I thought that was when I thought I've got to go back and be with them again. So
I mean, you've been a Plunket Nurse here for a long time.
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe that you're more than 21.
Thank you.
But I would imagine that the sort of problems that you're dealing with on a day-to-day basis in Bangladesh are so different to what you would see on a day-to-day basis in Topol.
Strangely enough, they're not all that different. I think in Bangladesh the emphasis was more on nutrition. But then in New Zealand, our Plunket work, a lot of it is helping the mothers with the breastfeeding and giving nutrition advice, and that was exactly what we're doing in Bangladesh. I found there that the people, the staff were very good at identifying the problems, and they were all documented, but then that's where it sort of stopped. And so I was able to teach them that as well as identifying the problems, they then had to sit around solving them. And so my role really was a teaching one of the staff who already had a lot of experience and who were really very good. They just needed fine-tuning.
I would guess, though, that problems like cholera and typhoid, which are verging on endemic there,
yes,
you don't see very often in Taupo.
No, certainly not, thank goodness.
But I mean, is that a worry for you going over there, because they are horrible diseases that are easy to catch?
No, strangely enough, I've never worried about my own health. I just sort of, I mean, obviously I had the odd bout of diarrhoea, but that's just part of life. And I did get quite sick one time with dysentery. I'm allergic to dates now because I was silly and ate a date. I'm sure that's where I got it from. But the thing is, when I go, I'm in very good health, and I'm lucky that when I live at a Catholic mission with an American Holy Cross father who's been there over 50 years, and in that time he's taught his cooks how to cook Western food. So I eat very well, and so I have the benefit of being able to maintain my good health, whereas the people I'm working with, their health is compromised through their nutrition right from the word go, so they're much more vulnerable to catching these things.
So your sister, who said that you never carry these things through, is she taking that back now?
Both my sisters have been incredibly supportive the whole time that I've been away, yes, and one of the many benefits of going to Bangladesh is that it's brought us much closer as a family, and yes, they've been wonderfully supportive and still are, yes.
Well, Libby, it's lovely to meet you. Thank you very much indeed for coming.
Thank you.